up there. He's like with Pat Patterson and them.
Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Actually, yes, you know what? We'll get to that now, I think. All right, so John Cena has completed his, I guess, the missing link in his career, and he won the Intercontinental Championship, defeating Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Now, I'll put my feelings aside for this part. So, Mr. Accolade Eck over here was so ecstatic to see John Cena win the Intercontinental Championship on Monday night. So, give me your thoughts on John Cena finally winning the big one.
Look, we haven't, but we could tally. We're sitting here, 44 plus weeks into the year. No, so obviously we didn't record 44 episodes, but over this year, we talked about him, who he could be facing, who he could be challenging, what he could be doing this tour. We've talked about him winning this championship. Slam. And there's a really cool picture going around social media from the past couple of weeks of 8 active WWE wrestlers that need one championship to become a Grand Slam winner. When that list came out like 2 weeks ago, when I'm like, man, I'm really finally starting to believe that this is not going to happen with him and Dom, especially when it started looking like Dom's going to end up doing something with his dad at Survivor Series. I'm just like, all right, it's not going to happen. Me, as Accolade Ack Championship Mark, I'm like, it should happen. John should do this. But, looking at the list, you're like, maybe Shinsuke. And it almost looks like of these 8, maybe none of them would become a Grand Slam winner. It's huge and awesome for him to do. It's the greatest. So Monday Night Raw, we'll get a little more in depth with everything on it. But it was the best episode of the year. Best episode of the year. Had the Eagles game on my laptop, which I made the right choice, put that on the smaller screen. Raw was on, and it delivered top to bottom. But it was awesome. It was a feel-good. You almost clamored for the idea of, like, he had a couple matches on SmackDown, maybe one match on Raw this whole year, if any. And you're like, it's his hometown. He should do a match. He should super Cena someone. He should squash someone. And, it was cool. Triple H was out there. You're like, this feels important. Dom's music hit. And I'm like, man, if we get the match, I started thinking they're going to make this a non-title match. And they did. And then, they made it a championship match. And they had a good couple false finishes. The ref bump. It got, imagine this, us, anyone like me, I've never thought, like, this is one of the most exciting. I'm not saying it's his best match. He's had better matches this year. But it was one of the most exciting Cena matches because when the ref bump happens, you're like, okay, cool. We got him versus Dom. We got him challenging for the Intercontinental Championship. And him actually winning, it was awesome. It wasn't, there was maybe a little bit of slop in the way that the match wrapped up, but I'm happy for him. 2 singles championships in 1 year. The first one, he wins as a heel. And, like I've heard on another show, this is the absolute last time you'll ever hear and new whatever champion John Cena. Obviously, we got 3 last appearances. Maybe it'll be 3 matches. Maybe it'll be 2 matches. Maybe it's just 1, and we'll see him twice. But pretty cool. And especially if he only has that match being his last match, if he's going to put someone over, you're going to get the huge rub of beating Cena and potentially becoming an Intercontinental Champion as well.
Yeah, so when it came to this, the internet was throwing out the rumor that this was going to happen on Raw Monday night, and of course it eventually does. Now, me and you talked about this through the entire year, but he has that whole missing – he has that one missing thing on his mantle, and that's the IC title. And the whole thing, we were talking about AJ beating Dom because AJ was in that long-term story with Dom, and that could have made the AJ versus Cena match more important. And I'm still sticking to that. I wish it happened that way, opposed to Dom being sacrificed, even though I do think Dom will probably end up winning the title back. If not next week on Raw or at the Survivor Series, if it's going to end up being the match. But I'm glad he got it done. The excitement behind it was the fact that I think that we kind of Like we all knew that he was missing this. We knew he never challenged for the IC title before, and we
I
knew
almost just brought that stat up. Which you pointed out on the show recently, and it's like one of those things. I'm like, again, I didn't watch for 7 years, so like when you said that on the show, I think 2 weeks ago, I was like, wait, he's never even challenged for it once. Like, it's funny. Like you almost think like, oh, like Brock Lesnar has challenged for the Intercontinental Championship. He's never won it, but it's another thing that's awesome. His last year, his last month, he's challenging for the Intercontinental Championship for the first time and winning it.
Yeah, because the U.S. title, because since Cena was a SmackDown guy, the U.S. title was always prominent on SmackDown. And when and eventually went to Raw, he was the WWE champion.
Yeah.
So this was in my memory. I'm pretty sure this is accurate, unless they said it on Raw. But I'm almost positive.
I don't think they said it, but I think you're right.
Yeah, I'm almost positive. I'm 100% right.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
So,
and
the excitement behind it was because, like, all right, we know this is coming. We know this is the only time he's challenged for this title. We know that it's coming. So we're all excited about it. It's just I'm on the boat of at the expense of your probably top superstar at this point in Dom. Dom doesn't necessarily lose anything because Dom's still going to be a big star in the company. But I do think he's going to win it back. But I am happy John Cena got this accolade. It's a little cheap. It's a little cheap. A cheap pop. But
and that's sometimes championships change that way, and sometimes it just makes sense. Like it's not going to be not to put Cena in that spot, but like anytime any older wrestler usually wins a championship or somebody comes back after they've been retired for a while and they win, like it's not it's not a 5-star classic, but it's for the moment, and that moment was real. Like I popped like an MF, like watching that. I'm like, hell yeah, that was good. It was exciting, and it was a great way to start a great episode of Raw.
Yeah, it really was. It was definitely a feel-good moment. I think everybody pretty much won because everybody knew he never won it. So like I said, he has that last missing piece on his mantle actually finally fulfilled. So
if you remember like 20, maybe even 17, but like definitely 2018, 2019, 2020, it felt like nonstop. There was, hey, this person just became a Grand Slam winner. This person just became a Grand Slam winner. And like, I feel like for a while, nobody has like, I feel like it's been a little stretch since somebody won it. And not to discredit any of the people that have won it in the past 10 years, but especially since he's on his way out. And I said this to you in a text, but like pretty cool if you think like this has been a thing that has existed in the lore of wrestling for almost 30 years, becoming a Grand Slam winner. And the first ever was Shawn Michaels. And the most recent is John Cena. And I mean, it's really bookends some strong talent who have done it.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm looking forward because we only have 3 dates left with him. I predict that.
What if he drops it to Miz on Monday and he becomes a 9-time champion? It'd be crazy.
I predict he's going to drop it back to Dom, but I wasn't quite sure where they were going with Dom here because I thought it was going to be like title versus mask with his dad. Maybe as Survivor. They can still do it, but I don't think this will be a long reign for John Cena. What was that?
He's still champion.
Yeah. So
I mean, him and his dad could do that over the
AAA.
The AAA Mega Championship because his dad's never held it. There's still a lot they can go that way, and that way it's not tying up 2 belts, and it's also going to make the AAA matter more. Which also shout out, I believe WWE today just signed Chavo Guerrero to help them with booking and everything with that company. So
yeah, and we hope that counts as a legend deal so we can get